favorite cloud-based talk show about cloud computing. All right, so I'm Nino Balmonte, and I'm here today with some very special guests. Today we'll be talking about security. So every day, millions of people around the world use Gmail, Google Apps, and millions of businesses rely on Google Apps for work on a day-to-day basis for their business operations. And the questions that are burning in everyone's mind is how is our data being treated? Is it truly, really secure? So today we'll be answering those questions. We'll be tackling all these issues with the help of our special guests. The first is a Google Solutions engineer covering Asia, who has had 16 years of IT experience and is focused on around web and collaboration technologies. He's very passionate about getting more businesses into the cloud and educating customers on the benefits of moving systems into the cloud in order to improve their ability to scale their systems and secure their data from hackers. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnny Benitez, Google Solutions Engineer for Asia.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I'm glad that I get the chance to like use this webinar of yours to talk about security, which I really like.
Of course, great.
And thank you for inviting me.
Sure. And we'll be discussing all of this at length. And also joining us from IPC, which is one of the first partners of Google here in the country, Mr. Marlou Alañon, IPC pre-sales engineer for Google for Work.
Thank you for inviting me as well.
Right. And of course, my outstanding and awe-inspiring co-host, Ace YouTube.
Thank you. And the combination of Google and IPC is perfect.
All right, guys. So thank you very much for being here. It's going to be a very interesting discussion that we have today. So everyone who's watching, I believe there's a button on the left side of your screen that you can click. When you click that, you can type in your question anytime, and we'll answer them directly here live. Okay, so let's get into our discussion. Okay, so today we'll be talking about security and how how common people like us we use Google on a daily basis, and we're not really privy to any operations in Google, and we just trust Google that hey, you're handling our data well. But before we get into exactly how Google does it, so let's talk about the general, issues around cloud computing and the security of the cloud. What from your experience being part of Google, what are the common risks that customers have raised with you, and what kind of things are you seeing from the Google standpoint?
Well, yeah, and the interesting thing is security has been a very big part of like news in the past few months. I mean, in the past years. I think it's not it's in all this stuff about security and data on online privacy. It's been coming out a lot. So like one of my favorite examples is like there was this movie, The Interview. Yeah, from Sony. Yeah. So
Did you watch it?
I watched it. Actually, so it's a really interesting story because if you for those who are not familiar about I think about a year ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Sony was hacked because they had a movie that was about North Korea.
Right.
And what happened was they used a vulnerability, I think, in the email system with some file servers that allowed hackers to get into not just their email, but into all the systems of Sony, including where they kept the movie.
Right.
And these hackers were saying, look, don't distribute the movie or else, we'll release all the information out.
Right. But
So-
they did.
But they did.
They did.
So whether they liked it or not. But the point was they were trying to prevent people from, they were using this hack to prevent Sony from being able to sell its movie. So that's an example of like where, because everything now, all of our data and all of our information has to be online. I mean, it's whether we like it or not. That's the trend. Everything is online. It's vulnerable. It's convenient, but at the same time we need to improve the security. So going back to the story of like how why I brought up Sony was that when they were hacked, they went to Google and they said, look, we need to distribute this movie, but we're worried like if we distribute it to other channels, like the systems will go down because they'll be denial of service, they'll be hacked as well. And Google said, you know what? We're pretty confident about our security systems of our Google Play Store, where you can buy movies. They said, look, just upload it there. We'll distribute it for you. and they will take care of the security. So what happened was about a few weeks later, we distributed the movie, the interview. We put it on our Play Store, and then we actually were able to allow people to download and watch the movie.
Which actually worked even better.
I think more people wanted to download it.
Yeah, than releasing it.
So
the traditional
honestly,
way.
the hackers like were just
And they attacked it, right?
they really did. So like our security team was like they weren't even worried. They said, you know what, we know we're gonna be attacked, but our systems are so good that we can distribute it. Like bring it on. It was more like bring it on. So
Bring it on.
yeah. So that's why we were able to like because of Google's experience and security systems and because we've been in the cloud for what 15 years, we know exactly what goes on and people trying to bring us down every single time. We've put all that experience into all of our applications, not just the Play Store, Gmail, and everything, to ensure that everything is secure. So that way we can actually leverage. So what Sony did was they leveraged our experience to be able to protect their data and distribute that movie. So that's a good example of like how like Google, we know these things are in the cloud. We actually acknowledge that things have to be online, and we've actually placed systems and technology. We use our technology skills to protect that data on the cloud because that's one of the things that we do.
But for Sony to act, a large company like Sony to put their trust in Google and online and the cloud in general. It's a big I think it's a big leap in terms of gaining that trust and establishing that the cloud is secure, particularly Google's cloud. And this we're talking about a large scale issue here, and I guess security, if you like, it gets more granular than that, right? And from a user's perspective. I wouldn't mind like having like a few photos and whatnot in the cloud, but when it comes to enterprise like users, there's a certain level of apprehension there, right? That I wouldn't completely trust the cloud for my data. I guess what kind of common I guess questions that you get from businesses, as opposed to from the free users.
I get it. So most businesses ask us isn't my data more secure if I keep it on my on-premise server? Like my data I feel better if it's behind the firewall. Right. Why should I put it in the cloud? Like isn't the cloud like exposing it out to the world and everything? So that's a common conversation point that we actually get a lot in Google. And that's where we say, like, look, one of the things that we do very well, and like, sure, hacking, security incidents happen. Period. Whether you're on-premise or on the cloud, it happens. The thing with on-premise is that if there's a security vulnerability, people try to hack. You're gonna have to one, ensure that your systems are always patched. Right. Two, that your firewall is always configured. You're gonna have to make sure that all of that is always updated. And all of these new vulnerabilities come out every so often. Right. Like this is not like that because I sealed it today. There's always going to be a new hack. Exactly. So with on-premise systems, in order to address those hacks, you're going to have to patch your servers. You have to find it. You're going to have to patch it, and then you're going to have to apply that patch across all of your servers. So that takes time. Okay, which is fine. That's what we're used to doing with our data centers, with all that stuff. But one advantage of going to cloud, and not just Google, but any cloud-based provider, is that one is we have a dedicated team of security engineers doing that for you. Right. We're patching, whose job is to look for vulnerabilities, try to hack it, and then fix it before it even happens. That's one advantage. Like rather than hire one information security professional, in Google we have about 500 people whose job is just to look for vulnerabilities, right? We write materials on it. We look for this, and we even publish it out in the world, like to tell other people, hey, we found this thing, please patch your systems. Right. The second thing is agility, because with Google, with the cloud-based systems, is that the moment we find this vulnerability, we don't have to wait for a manufacturer or any person to give us a patch. Right. We actually, let's do it, let's patch it now, let's apply it to our systems. Almost immediately.
The true meaning of protection.
Protection, right. Active protection. So we don't, that way, we're more agile. We can actually address these vulnerabilities faster than somebody because then you're a data center. And that responsibility is ours. That is our job. We don't just do it because today, this month, like it's scheduled for vulnerability testing. We do it every single day because it is our job to protect your data, whether it be enterprise or consumer data. We protect it, and that is our job.
And you protect all sorts of threats like malwares, bots.
Yeah, even like denial of service attacks. It's like probably the most common. Like if you look at this slide, there's this tool that you can go to like digitalattackmap.com. If you look at it, there's like if you go to that website, it shows you all the attacks happening at any given point in time, like all the denial of service attacks. This we use this like so you can see like which country is attacking which. It's actually kind of interesting. But the reason why I'm showing you this is that it shows you that at any point in time, people are trying to do denial of service attacks. The thing is, Google monitors this and makes sure our systems are protected from these denial of service attacks. So, like, I always ask people, when was the last time you saw Google.com unavailable?
Yeah, like an error 404.
Yeah, well, it's pretty rare. It has never happened recently in the recent mind because we have again those 500 security researchers. They're monitoring it. We have systems in place, and we've also designed our systems to be very spread out. So you can't really attack there's no one single point of attack.
You don't know where to go.
Yeah, as a hacker, if you think about a hacker, the easiest way for me to attack is, look, I know that this company is a data center with this IP address range. I will go attack that data center. With Google, it's like, where do I begin? Where are all of their servers? They have like, how do I get into that?
How many data centers do you have? Are we allowed to say that?
Well, actually, it's an interesting thing. So like, we actually have about currently we have about 13 data centers, and like I can actually like
can you show us how does it look like?
So okay, yeah. So let's bring. So I want to show you like it's a good thing you brought data centers. So we're very proud of our data centers. So from day one, Google has been a cloud-based company, meaning we've never really looked at our data like this. Our data centers on one floor. For us, it's like day one. We thought about our information will be out on the web. People will be accessing it there. How do we secure it from day one? So for 15 years, we've been designing data centers. We've designed the technology in the data centers, and it's all has security built in. So if you can see this photo, there's a lot of like you see. This is just one rack of servers that we have. Each of all of those servers, all of them are non-branded. We are the number 2 or number 3 server manufacturer in the world.
So you make your own hardware.
We make our own hardware. So the philosophy of Google is that, look, we don't just secure the facilities of our data center, the premises. We secure everything, including the servers. And the way we secure it is that the server is made by us, so nobody knows the design but us. No, we make the OS to the servers. We make the encryption algorithms for the drives and everything. We even make our own switches so that our the data that's being transferred across all these servers is secure and it's hard. So can you imagine like trying to hack something, but there's no manual, but you don't know who it is? And then that also goes back to my first point.
Yeah.
Why you can leverage our expertise around data centers is that when we find a vulnerability, it's our servers. We don't need to wait for anyone to like say, hey,
you don't have like a maintenance agreement.
With someone and then wait for a month before they send us the patch.
You have total control.
We have total control from the hardware level to the OS level to the physical facilities
to the cable, because I saw the cable are Google colors actually.
Right. It's one of those things. But actually, they serve. But you know what? Rather than me talk about it, why don't we like maybe it would be better. Would you like to see how our data center looks like?
Sure.
So we have a video. So for about our data center. So maybe we can show the audience like what it is like to be. We're going to show you one of our data centers, and it's going to show you everything that we do to protect this data center from the getting access to it, and even like the facilities, and even you'll see how the data center floor looks. So it's a short video. If I can play the video.
A data center is the brains of the internet.
The engine of the internet.
It is a giant building with a lot of power, a lot of cooling, and a lot of computers.
It's row upon row upon row of machines, all working together to provide the services that make Google function.
I love building and operating data centers. I'm Joe Cava, Vice President of Data Centers at Google. I'm responsible for managing the teams globally that design, build, and operate Google's data centers. We're also responsible for the environmental health and safety, sustainability, and carbon offsets for our data centers. This data center here in South Carolina is one node in a larger network of data centers all over the world. Of all the employees at Google, a very, very small percentage of those employees are authorized to even enter a data center campus. The men and women that run these data centers and keep them up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they are incredibly passionate about what they're doing.
In layman's terms, what do I do here?
I typically refer to myself as the herder of cats.
And I'm an engineer, hardware site operations manager.
We keep the lights on.
And we enjoy doing it.
And they work very hard. So we like to provide them a fun environment where they can also play hard as well.
We just went past the 3 million man-hour mark for zero lost time incidents. 3 million man-hours is a really long time, and with the number of people that we have on site, that is an amazing accomplishment.
I think the Google data centers really can offer a level of security that almost no other company can match. We have an information security team that is truly second to none. You have the expression, they wrote the book on that. Well, there are many of our information security team members that have really written the books on best practices in information security. Protecting the security and the privacy of our users' information is our foremost design criteria. We use various layers of higher level security the closer into the center of the campus you get. So just to enter this campus, my badge had to be on a pre-authorized access list. Then to come into the building, that was another level of security. To get into the secure corridor, which leads to the data center, that's a higher level of security. And the data center and the networking rooms are the highest level of security. And the technologies we use are different. Like for instance, in our highest level areas, we even use underfloor intrusion detection via laser beams. So I'm going to demonstrate going into the secure corridor now. One, I have to be on the authorized list with my badge. And then two, I use a biometric iris scanner to verify that it truly is me. Okay, here we are on the data center floor. The first thing that I notice is that it's a little warm in here. It's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Google runs our data centers warmer than most because it helps with the efficiency. You'll notice that we have overhead power distribution. Coming from the outside yard, we bring in the high voltage power, distribute across the bus bars to all of the customized bus taps that are basically plugs where we plug in all the extension cords. All of our racks don't really look like a traditional server rack. These are custom designed and built for Google so that we can optimize the servers for hyper efficiency and high performance computing. It's true that sometimes drives fail and we have to replace them to upgrade them because maybe they're just no longer efficient to run. We have a very thorough end-to-end chain of custody process for managing those drives from the time that they're checked out to the server till they're brought to an ultra-secure cage where they're erased and crushed if necessary. So any drive that can't be verified as 100% clean, we crush it first, and then we take it to an industrial wood chipper where it's shredded into these little pieces like this. In the time that I've been at Google for almost 6.5 years now, we have changed our cooling technologies at least 5 times. Most data centers have air conditioning units along the perimeter walls that force cold air under the floor that then raises up in front of the servers and cools the servers. In our solution, we take the server racks and we butt it right up against our air conditioning unit. We just use cool water flowing through those copper coils that you see there. So the hot air from the servers is contained in that hot aisle. It raises up, passes across those coils, where the heat from the air transfers to the water in those coils, and then that warm water is then brought outside the data center to our cooling plant, where it is cooled down through our cooling towers and returned back to the data center, and that process just repeats over and over again. To me, the thing that amazes me about Google and the data centers is the pace of innovation and always challenging the way we're doing things. So when people say that innovation in a certain area is done, that we've kind of reached the pinnacle of what can be achieved, I just laugh.
Wow.
So that's a video of one of our data centers. So
Just one.
Just
That's
one
just
of
one.
13 data centers that we have today. We're building more.
That was, and it's a huge facility, and this is just one of those.
So by
13.
Google standards, that's an old data center. So it's huge, but based on it's like how many football fields in size. But the newer data centers are actually much bigger than that.
Right. They're even using scooters to
Go around.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's that long. So, but you can imagine all of your data. The reason why I want to show you the data centers, it shows you like how big a scale Google.
Yeah,
is, like,
yeah,
in terms of
exactly.
like that's one of 13, and that's considered like medium or small size by Google standards. So all of those servers, everything in that data center is protected. You can't even go into that data center to access. Like I can't say, hey, I want to go to that server and open up one server and say, hey, here's the data. No, even the data that we keep on those servers. So like if you think of a doc, let's say a doc or an email, each email is actually encrypted.
Right.
So it's encrypted on the as we transmit it, and even when we save it on the hard drive, both are encrypted. And
But how about the redundancy?
so you see all of those servers, right? So the way Google thinks, so most people in the traditional data center designs, I have servers 1 to 10 for email, servers 10 to 15 for file storage, and then servers whatever for this. We usually have assignments like that, and each server is redundant. And then sometimes we even have just a cold backup, right? So when it fails, when the primary fails, then you have to boot up your DR site, right? Okay. So Google, what it did was when it designed the data center, it showed, look, everything will fail from day one. Everything, your hard drives, everything. So all of those servers that you see, all of those are active servers. So those thousands of servers that you have, all of those are all running the Google applications. And instead of assigning, let's say, hey, this backup servers runs Gmail, this backup servers runs, let's say, Drive, what happens is we spread all of our services, including our search, across all of those servers.
Like a global rate.
Yeah, it's like you can call it contacts in the sense that everything is working.
Right.
And if one backup server fails, it's okay. We just shut it down, replace it with a new set of servers, and yet everything still keeps running. That's why Google has a zero downtime incident. So we don't. Even when I always ask people, when was the last time that you saw your Google services unavailable? Search. We don't, because
That'll be the day. I mean, error 404.
Right. That's a disaster for the world. But yeah, so all of those, so good question in the sense that, so you have to imagine that the way we see our data centers is, this is a total compute power, compute engine, and all our servers run across it. If servers go down, if a data center goes down, we'll just transfer to the nearest data center in real time. And the only thing we lost is probably some compute power. And all we have to do is probably just spin up a couple more servers, and then the compute engine is there. So there's that's why we can maintain virtually zero downtime, and there's no.
That's I think one of your advantages on the resources as well, because you have unlimited resources. Back then.
Yeah,
just spin off.
Yeah, just like keep slamming. We don't have to like, okay, this server is designed for storage. We're just like slamming a new server, boot it up. Okay, everything just.
There's no like application server, database server. No,
not like that. So we don't design it that way.
But if you need resources in a traditional server environment, they would have to procure, sign a purchase order.
Pretty much, and that's what we call scalability. So unlike other companies, we can scale very quickly. So you want extra, how many compute power? Sure, we got. You want to be able to access your data in any part of the world? Sure, no problem. We'll just redirect it to the nearest data center. We don't make you go all the way back to, let's say, the Manila, to the, let's say, Singapore data center. If you're traveling to the US, what we do is we look for the nearest data center near you, and all your data is there automatically because we are redundant. So the only way, like in Mission Impossible, like they always show you that if they want to break into a system, they isolate where's the data center, and then we go in and we break into that and then take it down. Right?
The problem is they don't know where.
With the Google scenario, it's impossible because all the data is everywhere. The only way to take it down is you have to take down, shut down everything.
That's why it's, as you said, it's really nearly impossible.
To bring down, it's unless there's like a worldwide disaster. Right? But even an interesting thing, even the data, so you have 13 data centers. Even the connections between the data centers,
that's a good point.
We don't use telco lines. We actually built our own connections across these data centers because we want to make sure we have the best quality connection across these data centers. And we also have security because this is exclusive to us. No one else gets into that system. Plus, it's encrypted. So all the data transmission between all our data centers.
So the data and the transmission is both encrypted.
Yeah. So every time you access the system, this is how good. When you think in terms of like the compute power that we have, when someone asked me before, Johnny, there's always a trade-off between security and performance in the real. Like if you want to increase security, it slows down
Yeah.
But imagine Google was able to find a way to say, you know what, all of your data is encrypted, but you still get fast performance because we decrypt in real time. Have you noticed? All that stuff you don't, because we have all that compute power to do it for you.
Like when we make a search in Google, it says the search happened in 0.000
1 second.
Yeah.
And all that transmission is actually secure. So imagine all all that is how you that is what happens when you have a very scalable and a lot of this compute power that you just saw in our data center.
Yeah, this definitely shows us that the applications that everyone uses on Google is really just the tip of the iceberg. And there's so much that goes on behind the scenes
And that
people don't see.
Yeah.
And it's definitely I mean, if this is Google's business, and if they falter somehow, then there are going to be millions of people using this. So yeah, we talked about security and availability in data centers and whatnot, but let's talk about privacy. I mean, down to the user level. Like how private? What can you do? What can you say about privacy within the Google Apps or the Google environment? Is our data in Google Apps private from other customers? You mentioned that there's no one server or one facility that houses any particular data and it's available across. Doesn't that also mean that if a Google employee were to stumble into the data and they try to hack into something like one of the data centers around the world, wouldn't they be able to gain access to all of the data?
Okay, very good question. Actually, we get that a lot. So let's start. So, for example, like maybe in your some people think that if I walk into that data center and if I get a hard drive there and open it, can I see? Let's say an administrator can be able to open and see the data. So the good news is our data, the way we store data in Google, is that one, no one just gets into the data center to access the data. Right? Two, even if you did get into the data center and if you got into the hard drive, if you do open up one of those hard drives, the data there is encrypted. Okay, so everything there is encrypted. So even if you open it up, it's
you can do a hard copy.
You can't open it. It would be very difficult to open it. But see, but then again, what if you had the encryption and then you can decrypt it, right? So Google took that a step further. We have a technology called data sharding. What does that happen? So if you can, sharding. So most people encrypt the data. The problem with encryption is that when you encrypt the data, you can decrypt it. Right. Yes. So what we did was before we save that file to the hard drive, we actually do what we call data sharding. So what we do is we encrypt it and then we shred it. Think of it. Imagine, let's say, a document. You put it in a shredder, and it shreds the document into these little pieces, right? And instead of putting it on the same hard disk, what we do is we take bits and pieces of it. We give it to, let's say, you, to another server, to another server. So even if you did open that hard drive, even if you did decrypt it, you're only going to get a fragment of whatever data is there. It's useless. So what happens there's
no context.
Yeah, there's not even context. You can't make heads or tails out. The only way to do it is to be able to retrieve it to our systems. It actually puts all that data back together, shredded data, put it together, and then decrypts it, and then presents it to you. That's what happens every time. So that's one aspect of security in the sense that you can't. There's no way you can get that data. And if let's say that hard disk is stolen, there's nothing you can do with it. Right? It's really useless. So that's one aspect. That's the physical level. The other thing is that also for the users, what we do is we also emphasize that whenever you give Google your data or like upload file or anything, we are only custodians of the data. It's your data. You have every right to know what's happening with it. Full ownership, especially for Google Apps. There is an amendment to the Google Apps. But whenever you sign a Google Apps contract, it specifically states that this is your data. We don't open it. We don't do anything with it. We only we even have a clause here that says we call it data processing amendment. We tell you the only thing that we do with your data is just for maintenance purposes in terms of we don't look at your data itself. We just look at the only metrics we collect is probably just to see performance of the servers and everything, but we never open it up.
Like what happened recently with the US and what happened to Apple when they tried to ask for the data.
Right, so that happens a lot. So we actually get, let's say, the US government will come to us and say, you know what, I'm investigating, let's say, Nino, IPC. I wanna
stop a case.
Whatever. I had other things in mind. Let's start with the Estafa. Okay. So, let's say for this one. So with the Estafa, so you have an Estafa case. So when someone says, look, I want to open up Nino's inbox, first thing is Google says, whoops, wait a minute, before you ask anything, since Nino is a customer of ours, no, you can't. You have to be more specific. Why do you want Nino's email? What we don't just say, look, let's open up the inbox and get all the emails. What information are you looking for? Right. We have a team of lawyers whose job is just to like isolate what do you really want to find out. We're not just so that we want to make sure that it's really justified that we need to get the Nino's because they just want to take a look at it just for fun because someone doesn't like you.
So they want to see a girl.
Something like that. But we take a step further. Let's say they finally narrow it down. We actually ask them, but since you're a Google Apps, especially for Google Apps subscribers, remember what I said a while ago, it's your data. So we have a transparency report, or we have a report, and also we have a clause which says that if someone asks about your data, we have to inform you or the company that there's an investigation ongoing. They said, look, here is what they're requesting. They want to look at Nino because it's an Estafa case from this date to this date. This is what they need. Right. We're not turning it over to them.
Very specific.
Yeah, so you have to be very specific. So when we tell you, look, this is so we're protecting you from them just walking in and trying to get your data from you. And then in your case, you're also informed. So we have a transparency report that says, look, these are all the requests, and this is what we're, did we approve it or deny it? Yeah. And we have to tell you.
So you inform the subscriber that there is like this request from the government
because it's your property. Yeah. It's like, for example, you ask me to hold on to your, let's say, to your bag or to your iPad. So if someone says, hey, I want to take a look at this iPad, wait, hold on. I'm just a holder, and you have to ask him first. So the advantage of that, again, in Google is that we have a team of lawyers whose job is to protect you from let's say, having to from them just waltzing in to get the data from you. So that's a lot, right?
So now you're doing legal protection also.
To a certain extent, we are. So we are. It's part of our clause, and we will, to a certain extent, protect them from just grabbing the data, and also we have to tell you so that your legal team can also discuss it with them and because our job is simply to protect. It becomes our job to protect your data.
So if you have SMEs who cannot afford a legal team, they can take advantage of your legal.
Yeah, because or else, like if it was, let's say, if you're an SME and you had a server on premise, and then let's say a lawyer says, look, here's a warrant, here's a warrant to search your premises, including the server.
Right.
You may or may not have legal.
And they can take the actual physical.
Exactly. In this case, like nope. So first is we buy you time. We actually protect you. And then we inform you so that you can discuss it and see what maybe there are other ways around it. But again, that's for a Google App subscription. So that's one thing that we do. Aside from that, I don't know if you know that so that's some of the things that we do around protecting your data.
Yeah, one thing that you mentioned is that you don't really Google doesn't really sift through like the emails and whatnot, but I noticed like for like the free version of Gmail, like you have like a line there for ads, which are kind of related to what I'm doing, and it makes me think of, hey, aren't these guys reading my emails? Why is it so related? Right. So is that isn't that something that's a concern as well?
Okay, so for one thing, like again, you mentioned that this your Gmail, your personal Gmail, which is the free Gmail. Yeah. So the free Gmail is ad supported. So the way that
makes it free.
That's what makes it free.
Yeah.
So and so what happens there is it's an ad support. So therefore, for us to keep that service for you, there are ads, and these ads are targeted based on certain triggers or certain things. Right. But remember, no one even with the free Gmail, the ones that are processing that data there for the free Gmail are all bots. Are all like no one like in Google.
You're not like paying someone.
Like hey, open the email. Oh wait, this guy's reading this email.
They're just passive.
No, these are like rules that like
you don't have like kids working on it.
And somewhere back office looking at it. No. So that's for the free Gmail. This is ad supported. So that's very clear that even someone, let's say, as a Google employee, like I can't go in and say, look, I need to look at your email. Google will not allow me to do that. That's part because remember, it's our reputation at stake. If we give information, no one's going to use our services. But it's good that you mentioned it's free. But for the paid, let's say Google Apps, the enterprise version of Google Apps where you have like government and business subscribe, that is a totally different agreement. One was said, look, the moment you have a paid version, since you're paying us to post it, we will not put ads on that. Therefore, no one, and I mean no one, will ever look into that email, not even our bots or anything. Nothing is processed. So we don't store that information. If you, let's say, download that, let's say someday you say, you know what, I don't want to, I want to remove my email from Gmail, if you don't really want to, sure, download it, and we don't keep any data there at all. We wipe all that data out. So, because that is a service that we provide. So that's the misconception. No ads. No ads, yeah. So, that's the enterprise version of it. So, you don't get any ads at all. So that's pretty much. So it's.
I mean that makes it all the more compelling for businesses, for small businesses who use the free Gmail accounts, to switch to the paid version.
Correct.
Not just in terms of branding it and whatnot, but really for the privacy that it brings.
And for our viewers who are watching, you need requirements for enterprise grade Gmail accounts. You can contact IPC, and later we'll show to them the contact details of IPC so they can contact ourselves for Google.
Okay.
So so pretty much that's it. I mean for us, it's our business to keep your data safe. It's our business, and when you hire us to do, when you use our services, there's explicit contracts and explicit terminology you can show to your legal department says, look, Google does not.
All of this is documented.
It's all documented. It's something that we show to everyone, and again, it's not the first time we've had that discussion. So, and that we really explain this to people that, it's a service that we provide.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, I'm sure that Google has tons of certifications and compliances that it follows. And I mean, what can you name a few of these security measures?
Yeah, so we get that a lot. So look, I've told you about as a Google employee, I've told you about data center, I told you about security, but then again, it's just Johnny's word. Right.
I mean,
it's like Johnny said.
We can trust your T-shirt.
Right. Johnny said that we don't so everything I said is documented, and what we do is every year we get external auditors audit our systems against the benchmark standards, which is ISO. So the ISO organization has certain standards for data privacy, just 27001, 27018. There's the HIPAA compliance. There's a lot of certification agencies and everything. So what we do is we have ourselves audited, and then we have certifications. We have certifications for the ISO standard.
And those are not easy certifications.
No, if you've ever been on ISO, if you've ever been audited by an ISO or undergone an audit, it's a long and tedious process. So imagine what Google did was that instead of you having to have your email servers audited, is it patched, is it updated, does it conform to certain password policies? We've done that already for you on our data center, so that certification is something that you can if you use Google Apps, you can use that certification to show your auditors, look, we passed. These are the things that that our email systems comply, or our file storage system in the cloud. They're compliant with all of those things. So it's just a matter of asking Google, okay, what are what do you need? A SOC compliance, or do you need an ISO, or do you need?
These are not cheap, right?
They're not cheap. They're not cheap because one, it takes up a lot of resources to do it. You have to hire an auditor to do it, and then you'll get the certificate. So it takes a really long time to get this. But by adopting Google Apps, we're using Google technologies. If you say, look, we're running a Google data center, all our data is there, or at least our file servers or email are there. Let's say someone says, can I audit? Are you compliant with this? Okay, so we just showed them a certificate that says, look, based on this, our data is certified by Google. Google certified this. Therefore, we comply to your.
So if I'm an SME or any industry for that matter, I don't have to go through this tedious process.
Yeah, and
certifying my own hardware and systems.
Exactly, and chances are as an SME, you don't have the resources to do that, right? So you're probably leaving your servers as is. But that's the part where, again, going back to Google scale, we love to talk about all those data centers. Imagine you as an SME having access to all that scale being run by Google. It's yours, and you don't have to set up multiple. You have to back it up. Google does that for you.
Natural backup.
Yeah, so what the enterprise, these large companies that have adopted Google, And we have about, like, I'm going to show you a slide. Like, we have about the best certificates. Like, we have 5 million businesses over. Actually, this is probably, well, we probably have more. Now, all these large companies have adopted Google Apps. If you as an SME adopt Google Apps, you're getting the same level of SLA, security, everything as these big businesses.
Right. And out of those 5 million companies, IPC is actually one of them. And in terms of trust, not only are we users of Google products, we are also partners of Google, and we're very proud. And
we trust them enough to actually
yes,
provide it as a service as well.
correct.
But yeah, I mean that's great to know, and I think we learned quite a bit in this few minutes that we spent together. But let's take a look at whether there are any questions from the audience or from the viewers. Okay,
Yeah.
so we can. Okay, okay. Here's one. Can we protect our confidential files and documents from being shared outside of our company? This pertains to Google Apps, right?
Yes. So, I think, Marlou, maybe you can share your experience, like how we've,
Yes. Well, let me just share our experience or actually our best practices for at least for IPC and the Google App Store. Well, in terms of files or documents being shared outside your company, yes, with Google you can disable downloading or printing and even copying of any file with its features. So what it does is actually protects your company of sharing confidential information. Not only that, let's say if you have security parameters like your company processes credit card numbers, or let's say here in the Philippines, more likely we get social security numbers or PIN numbers. Besides, keeping your employees downloading and printing those information, having hard copies, but we also protect them of sending out emails. Right? It's not a hard copy, but transmitting it to others or outside your domain. By again setting parameters for Gmail to automatically detect if there's any information or sensitive information that's being sent out, such as again, as mentioned, credit card numbers or social security numbers, and this is actually being done by data loss prevention.
Plus, if they use a Chromebox or Chromebook, they get endpoint additional endpoint protection.
They also get.
So you say that aside from by subscribing to Google Apps, you're already availing of all of these security measures, and of course with Google Apps, there is a admin console of some sort, right? Where the customer may be able to allow and disallow whatever it is that they want to do as well, right?
So that's the nice thing with the paid version of Google Apps is that you get additional features such as what, like Mario was talking about, like called information rights management. So that's the feature that allows us to say, just the mere fact of saving your files into Google Drive, we can actually enforce policies just don't download, don't print, don't share. Or we can even say, look, you can only, let's say you in marketing can only share with this other department, but everybody else can share with everyone.
Oh, it's that granular.
So like if I say, let's say finance. Finance does a lot of, let's say, spreadsheets. So what we can do is we can say, look, for finance, you cannot, for an org level, you can say, finance cannot share outside the company. But marketing that needs to work with, let's say, other companies, they can share files. You can enforce policies like that. For example, if you're a call center, a good example is like if you're a BPO or a call center, or you have a sales, let's say, this sales team. What happens is you want to be able to prevent or mitigate the risk of them sending out, let's say, social security numbers or telephone numbers, or like outside sales pipeline or certain patterns, let's say drivers, like any what we call the first PII, personally identifiable information. We can put a flag or we can switch on that feature that says if you find that someone's sharing a file or even attaching a file to an email, even to a zip format that has that information. Before it goes out, if it detects it, it can tell the user, "Oops, you're not supposed to send that out."
Plus, if the device of that salesperson gets stolen, you can disconnect access to that device.
Right. So we can also control, like, for example, this is what they call a Chromebook. So this is a laptop that has a browser like Chrome OS.
Right.
So for example, like field sales, let's say they have files normally saved to their hard disks. The nice thing is if you have a Chromebook, one is there's nothing saved on the disk. So when someone loses that data, let's say that they have, let's say, sales numbers or sales or let's say customer information, you lose that.
It's not actually in the
It's not in the device. But there's very little data saved on the device. So instead of losing, let's say, 100 files, maybe one or two is saved locally in a Chromebook. And that hard drive is encrypted, just like the same encryption that we have on our data center.
Right.
And the best part about it is if you have a Chromebook, you can, the moment it gets lost, you can say, look, this is a lost Chromebook. The moment somebody boots it up, since it's normal tendencies to connect to the internet, it gets bricked. It says, look, it's been turned on, we'll brick it, cancel it. And even if they remove the hard disk, they can't get anything.
It's like you set a kill field.
Yeah, self-destruct. I like to call it
Self-destruct. Mission impossible.
Self-destruct on that one.
All right.
And so that's some stuff that we use to prevent data from getting leaked. I mean, as you can see, we don't just prevent data from sharing of files. We can also prevent have security policies around the laptop, around and we have audit tools as well. So again, auditors love that when someone tries to share something. Okay, what files have been shared outside? Right? So these are stuff that you get from like that maybe the like at Gmail.com doesn't have. That apps built into the system.
Okay, all right. Okay, there's another question here. Is there a way for us to have a copy of employees' emails that already left the company? I guess this question is coming from someone who administers Google Apps, and the employee has resigned, and then
when someone resigned,
they deleted the account already. Trying to retrieve.
More likely, this would be what we call the disgruntled employees, right? Disgruntled employees, if I may put it that way. Okay. So,
disgruntled. You're coming from from experience.
There's a hashtag coming.
We couldn't really avoid, at least having one, within the organization. But then, let's say, for example, a sales employee resigns or is already rendering his final days in the company, right? But of course, he has this grudge with the company and with the management, and he tried to send out confidential information to your clients or the competitors, something like that, right? So, but then again, your company might be at risk if an employee does this, right? And you might be, I hope it doesn't happen, but let's say you might face a lawsuit because of those kind of things.
Right.
Now, Google has this tool that lets you find and retrieve, let's say, valuable information, even from closed accounts or deleted emails. It's actually a smart way to gather what your legal team needs and prevent data loss from employee turnover. I'll give you one example. I'm actually talking about Google Vault, which is actually one of the features that you can get from Google Apps. Just to set an example, this is the famous, I would say, news, the Bank of Bangladesh, right? Let's say they're having this problem of figuring out what really happened, what happened within the transactions, even from the manager of a local bank here in the Philippines, right? Let's say they had this Google Vault or these features. They can actually help them out to sort out the problem and track what really happened within the transactions, because they'll be able to easily track or archive or generate those emails or copies of conversation from people from Bangladesh or to
it's like digital forensics.
Yeah, it's actually what we call e-discovery or electronic discovery.
Okay. So that way you can, I think you can set parameters there and say, look, I want to see the communications between, say, Nino and Marlou from this date to this date with this type of topic. Right. So what it does is that the search goes across all the inboxes, and then, or it searches across, say, maybe Nino's inbox, Mario's inbox, maybe other repositories. Right. And what it does, it looks for all of that that match the criteria. put it into an e-discovery file, and that's what you give to your legal department for investigation. Without having to like, in the past, what you've done is you have to go to the inbox, see the email. This was just like, no, let's search since we have everything on the cloud. Search, get it out, put it into like, preserve it, and put it like, it's like putting things in a folder, and then that's what we use for the investigation.
And that's what Google does best, search, right?
So that's that's what we call it, the vault. It comes with a product that comes with Google as called Vault. So that's what we call our e-discovery archive.
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, here. What are other ways our company can be protected in terms of securing information, such as credit card numbers and other private or confidential information of our customers? I think we tackled this earlier.
I've already tackled this.
Okay.
So that's
the DLP or Data Loss Prevention.
It's like an add-on to, or is that a feature?
It's actually a built-in feature.
I see.
So there's no extra option.
All right, that's perfect. Okay. See if there are other questions. What are the security best practices that you can share with us?
Actually,
you've already shared those.
It's actually a good question because like recently we've gone about security. We had a lot of people in the last elections. The database of all.
Who did you vote for, right?
I think we'll need another hour to talk about voting. But
we can do that off the air.
Off the air. That's a totally. Is this a political show?
We can turn it into one.
Okay, but no, that's a good question because we had a security breach of all the information of people. Like, so we only have your name, your address, your birthday. So yeah, it's very important that whether some like I guess maybe Marlou can share some of we have some tips for people on how to protect their accounts. Like very basic that you can do today. Not just with Google Apps, although it's built in, but I think with other.
Yep. Well, here in IPC, since that I would say that we're the #1 partner here in the Philippines for Google. Well, to help you keep your organization's data safe and secure, we actually do recommend taking some steps to reinforce and monitor the security of your Google for Work account. First off, that I would like to mention would be our two-step verification. This actually talks about passwords or account access. Now, as part of our best practice, I would like to share a story of one of our clients. They also have an office in Japan. They also have an office here in the Philippines. So in Japan, they are using let's say tokens or RSAs. If you guys are familiar with it.
Those are those little things that create numbers.
Yes, right. So the little things that create numbers. It changes every second. For you to be able to log into your device, you have to enter numbers from that key, right? In Google, we also have this. They also have this technology, but then it's more I would say unique. It's more googly, I would say.
Googly,
right? So two-step verification. Before you be able to sign in, you'll get a passcode that will be sent to your mobile number. Right. So you have to enroll your account as well as your phone number to your account. So let's say before you log in, you get the passcode to your mobile number, you enter it. So in this way, I would say no one would be able to access your account even if they already know your password. In those cases, let's say they were able to get your password, but then they don't have that password that is only within your that is sent to your phone.
Is this the reason why I'm being asked for my mobile number when I log into Google?
Yes.
Google asks for my mobile number, right?
Yes. Actually, for enrolling, let's say for the free accounts, yes, you will be asked for it. Yeah. But more likely, when you are being asked for your phone number, is more of syncing as well your account to your mobile. I see. So whatever you get from your device or whatever device, it becomes going to be synced.
But you're right. So like in the Google Apps, in the paid version, when an administrator turns on two-step verification, what happens there is that you'll use your mobile number to be able to send you that additional passcode. So every time an employee logs in, let's say you go to a cyber cafe, and let's say what happens, I log in, what'll happen there is before you can log in, they'll send you that text on your phone like here's like 6 digits. Could you enter it right now? So that's something that's insecurity. It's a concept that they talk about. Like secure to have really good security, you have to have two things. One is something that you know, which is your password, your username and password. And the second part of the security is something that you have, which is that code, which is something that like even if it's a Marlou knew your password, he can't get it, and you'll get a notification, and you'll be wondering, wait, who's trying to get in? And by that time, you can flag your administrator saying, hey, something's going on here. So that's something that if you're a Google Apps administrator today, I suggest you turn it on. Automatically comes free. It's there, and
Okay. All right.
Do you have any
other questions? Okay. I mean, I think we don't have any other questions.
But since we're talking about security, I mean, since we have time, one of the services that I think our partners, we've introduced our partners. So any Google Apps partner or any certified Google Apps partner can now do security workshops for any Google Apps customer. So that's part of the service that so we have certified. I think your IPC will be certified soon to do that. So what they do is they do a 1-day security workshop where they talk about all of these security features that you may not know that are part of Google Apps. It's part of our service. Remember, security is one of the things I always tell people that you're only as secure as your weakest link.
Yes.
So sometimes, say we have a really good infrastructure, we have a really good technology, we have the people, but you didn't know, you as an administrator did not know that you had all of these security controls inside Google Apps that you could have switched on. Right. So what we do is we have our partners conduct a security workshop. It talks about all of these technologies, and then they also work with you to find out, okay, what are your current security challenges? Right. How can we address it using the best practices? Yeah, the best practices and everything. And it's something that like if you sign up for a Google Apps account, if it's you say, hey, today I want to go to Google Apps, that's part of the service that we get as a customer of Google Apps. And IPC, I believe, is getting certified to deliver that workshop.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, that's definitely something that will address all of these concerns moving forward.
It's good to know. I think I always tell people like, look, if you think you're secure, then you're probably not, because like in Google, like if you notice our data, going back to our data center video a while ago, the guy said like I think we don't stop at the innovation and security. The moment you think you're secure and you stop, that's the time that you stop being secure. So you always have to be on your toes. You always have to be developing. And if you partner with Google, we help you with that journey of security. So we provide you with great products, with security and built in them. And we keep innovating. This is our job to innovate and to keep upgrading our security. And not just because we do it for all of our products. So for us, security is part of
the whole package.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So as I said, from day one, when we designed our data centers and our products, we didn't think about security after. We thought about it from the start.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it can happen, it probably will.
Yeah.
So
and of course, IPC being a partner of Google Apps or Google Forward. For the viewers, I just want to tell you that you want to know more about best practices. Of course, security is also one of our main dish here in IPC. So we have our professional services team that can help you out. So that's what we do. We don't just provide you licenses or whatnot, but we are there. IPC is there from the start up until the implementation to make sure that you are secured and you are being able to maximize the full Google Apps suite.
All right, that's great. So again, I'd like to thank you guys, Johnny and Marlou, for joining us today. There's a great discussion that we had, and we'll be uploading this, of course, onto YouTube and to our channel, which is youtube.com/IPCPH. And you guys can access this at any point in time that you want to see our faces.
Yes.
But more importantly, to discover the many, the many things that go into Google Apps and then the Google for Work environment, right? So thank you once again for joining us, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Hope to have you guys again soon for another topic.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. See ya.